Hi, I'm Sarah Wilder, and this is part 4 of How I Survived the Man I Married. Thank you for joining me. In the last episode, I shared the very first ever reading with a psychic medium I had, and in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about how I felt afterwards. I want to share, I'm using notes in case you hear paper. I got to have size 20 font notes because the book is a 300-page Word doc. In print as an actual book, it's probably 400 and something pages. So I got to have notes. I don't want to leave anything good out. And yes, I've already said the book has way more than the videos, and it does. And I might share a few Easter eggs with you of things that aren't in the book that are plenty juicy. But thank you for hanging out with me in my closet. I want you to know this is not for ambiance or to be cute. It's because there's a lot of noise in the house. It's the bedtime hour for the kids and my grandkids. And this is the quietest place I could find. It's in my room, in my loft, in my walk-in. So welcome to my studio. Okay. My life felt different post-reading. It was like awaking from a very, very dense fog. Like I said, it changed my life. I could see him. It's like, I could see him more clearly. You know, having validation, a lot of you probably already know this, getting validation for things you have suspected and long suspected, it's so rewarding and validating and uplifting when well, not always uplifting. Sometimes it's pretty devastating, but it is validating when you can hear things and learn things and get the truth. I was happy about that. I was mad and disappointed in myself at ignoring a lot of things and not seeing clearly sooner. A lot of this is on me. I'm going to quickly digress. So when Spirit said in that first reading in the last episode, everything you did, you married this guy, it was for a spiritual purpose, but that purpose has long been served. How long? I thought about that. And I mean, I thought about it for years. This reading was 7 years ago. So I thought about it for a couple of years and I decided it was 2013. 2013 was the year I got too sick to carry on at my dream school. And 2013 was my 30th anniversary. And that's the anniversary. He didn't forget. He ignored it. He deliberately ignored it. He ghosted our 30th anniversary. And, you know, I took action. Then I regressed and I retracted that punitive action, which if I had just stayed in my decision, I would have been fine. But I went back. And that was when I think I stayed in it too long. Every day after that 30th anniversary was one day too long. So I'm going to say, about 5 years, a little over 5 years too long. That's just me overstaying my welcome in my own marriage. Okay, so I was happy to hear from my mom. I was happy to hear from my dad, but my mom's accountability and apology and also an explanation for how her actions affected me, I don't know how to put a price on that. That's priceless. Because in life, she was strenuously judgmental of me, disapproving. When I joined the LDS church, she strenuously opposed it, verbally and with actions. And that's an entirely other book, is transitioning from Catholicism to Mormonism and how your family feels about your choices. She had literally no reaction to a lot of things my older brothers did, but me becoming an active Christian, living it 24/7, it really angered her for probably till the day she died. So I'm going to tell you about our daily life. Jim's daily life didn't change a whole lot. Same bastard he has been. I could just see him more clearly and tell what flavor of bastard he was. He is one that would like to spend a lot of time alone in his head. Doesn't matter who's in the room. And one of his favorite activities while he was alone in his head would be sharpening his many knives, including axes and all kinds of things. He loves the blade. And he worked at in Utah in our retirement job from 2018 to like 2022 at the largest online knife retailer in the country. And he loved the job. And let me tell you, his collection grew quickly once he started working there. And anyway, he loved to sharpen these knives, oil the sheaths, sharpen the knives. He had a whole little room in our townhome basement in Utah that was for knife sharpening. And he would even sniff the knife sheath after he'd oiled it and wiped it down. Just, I don't know. I don't know. I always thought it was weird. The kids always thought it was weird. It's just too much devotion. You know, it's like, almost like, should anyone else be in the room? Do you want to be alone? That's how it was. But, since we were minimally interacting and I was absolutely icing him out, have at it, buddy. Have at it. I would pass the time doing something I'm not super proud of, but it's pretty low key on the scale of most people's lives. But I started drinking alcohol. I hadn't had alcohol since 1983, and even then it maybe was red wine. I love Pinot Noir. So I discovered low-calorie margarita mix. Skinny girl. Me and Skinny girl. From the time it was 5 o'clock, that man got home in the afternoon, but by the time it was 5 o'clock, I had a water glass full. And there began the era of our marriage that I call sipping and sleuthing. And sipping and sleuthing meant me and my margarita mix would go in my room. I would log into our Verizon account and start scanning his phone number for texts and calls to people, numbers I didn't recognize. And then, because with sleuthing, you need to have resources, I logged in and subscribed to one of those background check websites. And I went every number I put through there that I didn't recognize. And guess what I found? I found the number of someone he works with. And when I took a highlighter pen to her phone number, because I put it into the background check thing, and I knew her name, knew he worked with her because he info bombed me on her from the first month he worked there. I saw that her number, when I was highlighting it, it was always early morning hours and evening and late night hours. So I did what any self-respecting housewife did. I drunk texted her. I did. And within, I want to say, a minute and a half of me sending it, guess who was storming in my room? Beet red, his voice shaking, in his church underwear, and barefoot. And I made him back up out of my room and stay in the hallway while he ranted. He told me to check the phone. I grabbed my phone, checked it. There was a really irate text from the husband of this woman. And I knew a ton about him because in the info bombing, I learned about him. Second party victim to Mark's weird obsessions. So he sent a really nasty text. I didn't reply. I just deleted it. And he stormed back to his room and I shut my door. And I did have to sit on that for a while, but I realized I should not drink alcohol. So I scaled back on the Skinny Girl margarita mix, continued my sleuthing, but instead it was vaping and sleuthing because I discovered vaping, specifically grape ape vape. So me, much less Skinny Girl and grape ape vape were quite the triumvirate. And so that's how I passed my time, that and watching Real Housewives, any and all of the Real Housewives. I want to say also that when Jim wasn't silent with me, besides ranting because he's the victim always, those guys with the constructed white hat are always the victim. He would feel threatened by my actions or words, or down the line, he'll be threatened by my multiple trips to the psychic. He would weaponize our religion. Now, keep in mind, I had left the church over 2.5 years earlier. It didn't change my life. I just quit attending. I quit going. And I quit participating completely. But he'd weaponized that. And it really was that church structure and my expectations of myself and how I wanted to be, live my life within it was a cage, part constructed by me, part by him. But now this is the first time he'd weaponized it since the reading. And it was like every single word he said fell before my feet like powder in thin air. Absolutely zero impact. It couldn't even reach me. These words were so stupid. So that was another change in my life going forward. His words had a lot less impact. And down the road, not at this point, I'd only had one reading, but down the road, I will counter his BS, gaslighting and weaponizing things he shouldn't with my own declarations of impending independence, because we were divorcing. And every now and then I'd throw in a little barb of information I learned from the psychic. And I just loved to watch his reaction. I'll admit, I enjoyed the horror on his face, the puzzling look on how I know. And I would just, when he'd say, I'd just say, I'm so resourceful, babe. You have no idea. Carry on. But I do see the psychic many more times, and other practitioners as well, a tarot reader, other psychic mediums as well. And each time I go, the information's more intense, and you'll see that as the readings go along. In the next episode, I'm going to share my second and third readings with Peter. I'm going to roll them together. I'm going to consolidate them, and I'll give you those readings. You'll see there's just a lot more information. And most of the readings, it's only me. This first one and one later on down the line, I share with Rachel, but she always has 3 or 4 jobs. She doesn't have time for these things. It's just with me and Peter, and the amazing things I learn, the terrible things, the heartbreaking things. I think in episode 6, you're going to hear about some of that stuff. But thank you for being with me. I really appreciate it. If you like what you've heard, like what you've seen, would you please remember to like, follow, and share my story to get it one step closer to publication. Also, ladies, I invite you to step out of the darkness and into your power. Thank you for being in my closet today.